everyone, and welcome to an episode of Lamudi Webinar Series, Why the Pandemic Offers a Golden Opportunity to Invest in Real Estate, in partnership with RHK Land Corporation, a joint venture between local real estate experts, Robinsons Land Corporation, as well as international property powerhouse, Hongkong Land. My name is Deborah Ong, Head of Corporate Affairs at Lamudi Philippines. Now, joining me today are two panelists. First of all, we have Mr. Lee Chee Hoe, Chief Representative of Hongkong Land Philippines. Thank you, Chee Hoe, for joining us today. Hi.
Hi.
As well as Mr. Henry Yap, Business Unit General Manager of Robinsons Land and President of RHK Land Corporation. Hello, Henry.
Hello. Hello.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today. Now, to kick off the session, to start off with, I'd really like to understand a bit more about the collaboration between Robinsons Land and Hongkong Land. Perhaps starting with Henry, could you tell us a little bit about this partnership?
Yes. Our partnership with Hongkong Land, an internationally recognized firm in Asia, has actually been the result of good partnership or good discussion. We want to project in the Philippines the need for us creating better market with better type of developers. And thus we found Hongkong Land to be that partner for us to kickstart our project in our newest destination estate called Bridgetown. Over the short period that we have been working with Hongkong Land, we have found them to be very, very responsive and actually very cooperative in all our undertakings. And I'm glad to say that this fruitful partnership will yield good results as far as our projects are concerned.
Thank you, Henry. Now, my next question really has to do with investments in real estate at this time, because I understand that RHK has its first pilot project, Velaris Residences, in the Philippines. First of all, could you tell me a bit more about the project?
Okay. The Velaris is our first joint venture with Hongkong Land. We are located in the new estate destination of RLC called Bridgetown. It is located within the city of Pasig. This estate development will basically house residential, commercial, office, and educational facilities. So basically, this will be a new township that will just be very close to the current CBD here at the Ortigas Center in Pasig.
Thank you, Henry, for sharing that. Now, Chee Hoe, can I jump to you for a little bit? From Hongkong Land's perspective, could you share a little bit more about the project?
Well, as Henry has mentioned, this is really a powerhouse partnership between Robinsons Land, that is well known in the Philippines, and Hongkong Land, being recognized in innovation and design excellence throughout Greater Asia, in Hong Kong and also Southeast Asia, where we have projects. We like to bring this type of design excellence to the project, and the experience and the vision that we share together with Robinsons Land is something, a masterpiece that we are creating here for the Velaris Residences.
All right, thank you, Chee Hoe. Now a bit more about today's topic, which is about investments in real estate. All right, now, as we all know, we are going through some interesting times at the moment, transitioning from Manila out of an ECQ about a month ago. Now, a question for both our panelists: do you believe that there is an opportunity for investors to come in to invest in real estate in the Philippines amidst this pandemic?
Any situation, whether bad or negative, the uncertainties that is setting in, there's no doubt there's also opportunities for investors who are keen into putting their money in the real estate. As we know, the real estate has always been proven to withstand time in terms of the assets value. So in fact, for such situation, it is probably a better time for them to reassess their investment portfolios, where interest rate is coming down in most of the countries, and keeping cash is not really a good investment. Real estate has become then a good investment vehicle tool for you to protect the value. And over the years, real estate value has always been increasing. And with the Philippines economy growing for the past many years, it has proven that that the market is very strong. You know, the real estate industry is very strong, supported by developers that are very experienced, you know, like Robinson's Land in the Philippines. And for us, Hong Kong Land, we have been also in the Philippines for the past over 20 years with our projects in One Rojas and Two Rojas Triangle, and also in Mandani Bay, Cebu. So we are looking at developers who can deliver projects to the buyers, and not just empty promises.
Sure. Chee Hoe, you mentioned that real estate investments withstands time. Could you elaborate a bit more about this?
Well, over the years, I think the property value has increased. If you look into the property market in the Philippines itself, the value has gone up tremendously for the past 3 to 5 years, and it has become not just a hedging against the inflation, but it is also become a good return for investors, whether they're looking for capital appreciation or for the yield in terms of the return of rental income. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Chee Hoe, for sharing that. Moving on to Henry a little bit. Henry, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I believe that the best time to invest is during a downturn, because during this period, many of our developers will be able to provide you a lot of payment options, good payment terms. These are things that good seasoned investors will be able to immediately recognize. At the same time, you can actually adjust your requirements based on what you have not spent in the last few months. You know, all this unspent leisure money that you normally would be using, you can actually redirect them into real estate, because you know that it will be stable. History has shown that despite the fact of a global crisis, Asian financial crisis, the rebound has always been very strong, and whatever dip in prices before would have been recovered as soon as the change or the improvement in the economy. The other thing that I like to share is there is a decrease in the interest rates. Normally, during a downturn, the government tends to bring down the rates. This is to pump prime the economy. And as such, for a seasoned investor, he can tap those funds at very, very low rates, which he normally will not during a boom period. So using lower cost of money will yield him better IRR or better results in the future. And after the downturn is over, if he decides to sell it, then of course all that value appreciation will yield him more money.
All right. Thank you, Henry, for sharing that. Now, you mentioned, you touched a bit on pricing and payment plans, right? And that leads me to my next question, which is regarding RHK Land and its project Velaris Residences. Now, pricing and payment plans, is there anything else, or could you elaborate more on what RHK is doing in order to make the project attractive and available to investors at this time?
Okay. For the luxury market, normally we require a down payment at the start. Because of this, and knowing the sentiment of many of our investors and business people, we have made the payment of the down payment longer than it was before. And this is to allow them to manage their cash. As a seasoned investor, as a seasoned businessman, you know that cash is king. So we also look into how they look at this disbursing their own funds for them to be able to also invest in our project.
All right, thank you, Henry. My next question goes to Chee Hoe, and this is regarding the decision to invest in a time like this. Now, Chee Hoe, as we understand, for many, especially for the new investors, it might be quite a daunting time for people to make a decision right now. Now, what advice would you give to an investor who might be concerned about the current economic outlook?
At the moment, a lot of uncertainties, of course, I think that is a concern by a lot of people. But in terms of investing in real estate has always been one of the priority for a lot of people in terms of protecting their value. I think that's very important. So they just need to be more careful in terms of selecting the type of projects that make sure that they get the kind of return in the future. And you're looking at the profile of developers who has got good track record. So these are some of the information that they should do, getting a due diligence to make sure that they find a project that will make sure that they will deliver on its promises. And of course, during this time, there's also a lot of value that they can look for in the projects. Previously, where they are projects that probably sold at a very high price but with little value, I think they should be now having a good time shopping for a good project that gives them a better value in terms of design, in terms of their finishes, and in terms of the deliverables. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, Chee Hoe. You mentioned the reputation of a developer counts, right? Could you tell us a little bit about the history of Hong Kong land?
Well, Hong Kong land has been existent for the past 130 years. We are invested in Hong Kong, where we hold a lot of offices in the central of Hong Kong Island. And we have also investment in China, from development properties to malls. And also we have a lot of retail space investment in Hong Kong itself, and also in the Southeast Asia region, from Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia. In fact, in the Philippines itself, we have been around for the past over 20 years, where we have participated in projects delivering the 1 Rojas and 2 Rojas triangle in Makati, and also launching our Mandani Bay projects in Cebu. So we are definitely one of the system players as well in Philippines, and we stay committed to delivering a world-class product to the Philippines.
Thank you, Chee Hoe. Interesting insight. So a long history from Hong Kong, land of 130 years of experience across Asia, as well as 20 years itself being present in the Philippines. Right. I want to move towards Henry a little bit on the Robinsons side. Henry, do you have any advice for investors who are concerned about the economic outlook right now? What words would you have for these investors?
Yeah, I'd like to share what Chee Hoe had mentioned. I think it is very important for any investor to look at the reputation of the companies. And we are fortunate that these two strong partnerships will be able to deliver the projects. In many of the projects that we've seen during economic crisis, the biggest problem of that developer is that they would run out of cash. Why? Because there is a slowdown in the sales of their unit. And unfortunately for a boutique developer, they might not have enough funds to cover their loans, their borrowings, to pay up for their costs. So eventually what they're receiving is just enough to cover their expenses and not really be able to funnel that to the completion of the project. As a big developer like RLC and Hong Kong Land, we have the muscle to provide the funds we can generate from the different businesses that we have, so we can ensure continuity of the construction of the project. Moreover, on a day-to-day basis, we can observe that during the lockdown, we can still provide business continuity. A small developer might not be able to do that. They may have to close shop. They may not be able to provide the servicing to the clients. As a big developer, we can still run skeletal force and we can continue to service our clientele. And that is why it is important to look at the background of the companies that are developing the project.
Thank you, Henry. So besides reliability, now let's touch on the topic, right, of valuation and appreciation. Now, throughout history, we all know that real estate values have always grown, especially in the Philippines at this stage, right? Now, given this unique situation, if I was an investor right now, how can I be sure that the value of my investment is going to appreciate, especially in the short run?
Okay, at the start, since we are developing a pre-selling project normally would have its prices start at a lower figure. But over time, as with any other major developers, we would regularly increase our prices. So there alone, you already have a guaranteed price appreciation over time. Second, ideally, you would want to locate your project in a greenfield area where there is potential for growth. And just as your building is appreciating in prices, the values of your properties, of the values of the properties around the township or the destination also increases, pushing further the value of your specific unit. As you know, the value of your unit includes your own plus the community around it. So as the community land prices increase, so is the value of your investment. Three, there are opportunities when you invest early, because here is when people are willing to give you good terms, give you softer terms, which you may not be able to do in a very, very strong market. Because here, when we reach already a strong market, it becomes the seller that is dictating what they want to do. So all of these are actually good opportunities for seasoned investors.
Thanks, Henry. Chee Hoe, to get your thoughts, do you agree?
Oh, totally agree with what Henry has mentioned. And just to add on a little bit, I think the buyers would also should look at the product itself, for looking for well-designed units, not just in terms of the aesthetic from the outside, where it will last for a long time, and also looking into the internal space planning of a condo to make sure that it's practical, it's comfortable for you to stay for a long run, and also look for a project that would take care of your future as well, in terms of the well-being, in terms of the amenities. I think these are the very little things that one should look into a project, besides what we have mentioned about the reliability, the experience of the developer delivering the products. I think these little things that will ensure that the project will last for a long time is also very important.
Now let's shift to a broader perspective on the Philippines and Asia, right, and the economic outlook over there, and trends as well. Now, we know that with every crisis, society shifts towards being more productive, right? So now, getting your thoughts on the changes that you expect to see in the Philippines and Asia, what kind of impact do you think that this crisis will have on real estate, and how will this impact RHK's project, the Velaris Residences? Perhaps we could start off with an outlook in the Philippines by yourself, Henry, and then later on more for Chee Hoe on an outlook for Asia beyond Philippines.
Okay, let me start that. In the case of Robinsons, we are in different businesses. We are in the malls, in the hotels, in the offices and residences. We're also into logistics. As far as those businesses are concerned, the direct immediate impact, of course, of this crisis would be on hotels because of the tourism reduction in travelers, both international and local, and also because of the malls, because during the lockdown, people were not allowed to go to the malls except to buy essentials like those from the grocery or the supermarket. But I feel that more than ever, people realize that they have to be picky and choosy when they want to buy or invest in a home. And more than ever, the lockdown put them in these homes. And so now they wanted to make sure, that's our realization, that people want to be more productive in their homes. So for us in the Velaris, we have made sure through the help of our partner to make sure that this will be possible should that continue to happen. But more than that, I believe that once the economy improves in the latter part of the year, we should get a resurgence of people confidence buying again. For the big investors, I don't think that is ever a problem, because for them it is actually the best time. We have the likes of the Kogongways in the sea, where they developed most of their projects during the Asian financial crisis or the global financial crisis. They have actually yielded much more than most people who were afraid to invest. But the other thing that we see is that people will put that money in a safer environment, and residential will be that environment. I foresee that people will be afraid to put their money in stocks because of the volatility. For those who are short selling, maybe they can take the risk, but they can also have serious consequences if they make the wrong move. So putting your unspent money in real estate will naturally be the best choice at this time. And eventually, once we have more developments in residential, all of this will follow, because then you have consumption improvement, you have potential rental income growth, and this will allow you to roll the money to do more things.
Thank you, Henry. A very comprehensive coverage for the Philippine economy. Let's move perhaps towards Chee Hoe. Chee Hoe, could you share some thoughts about outside the Philippines as well as greater surroundings, right? So the region, Asia as a whole.
Yeah, I think at this moment, there's really no template for anyone, whether it's a developer or a buyer. When it comes to this kind of pandemic, nobody can predict and plan to manage this kind of lockdown situation. But I think one thing that is very obvious for the people across the region is there's a shift of priorities. Echoing what Henry has mentioned, the priorities in terms of putting the money in where your value is protected, your assets are protected, is, I think, much more important during this kind of crisis than speculating in stocks or currencies. And not only that, when we look into the priorities of a home buyers, where would they want to buy their homes? Do they want to just look for a comfortable or convenient? But I think this crisis has actually brought us to appreciate in terms of the space that we want to live. Like I've mentioned just now, looking for a condo that gives you a lot of other amenities and facilities and the privacy and the safety. So these are the shift in terms of mindset of the people that are looking for buying into real estate these days. And across Asia, we see a very strong shift in terms of people buying into properties. Previously, as we just mentioned, people would like to go to sales galleries to have a look at the project. But these days, I think in many countries, doing online selling presentation to the buyers has become an important tool for the buyers to get to know the project. And this trend has never been realized until this pandemic, when a lot of emphasis has been given. But we see projects are also moving, people are also buying, and that has never happened before as aggressive as during this crisis. So in terms of all this behavior of the buyers and their set of priorities, that is something that is happening across Asia, I would say.
All right, thank you, Chee Hoe. So you see a greater appreciation for the spaces that surround a property seeker or buyer, and therefore this has a positive impact on Velaris.
Yes, and of course, we being situated within a township of Bridgetown, it's not just the condo itself that really give them the host of facilities and all the surrounding areas that give them access to the commercial offices, parks. I think these are all part and parcel of a master plan that they can enjoy.
Thank you, Chee Hoe. All right, now that sums up our session on the Lamudi Webinar Series. This session is why the pandemic offers a golden opportunity to invest in real estate. This webinar is in partnership with RHK Land. Now, during this session, we've uncovered some learnings from our panelists about RHK Land as a developer, the Velaris Residences as its pilot project, as well as a brief market outlook on the Philippines and Asia as a whole. For our viewers today, if you are interested or should have any questions, please feel free to get in touch by reaching out directly to RHK Land or by leaving us a comment via the comment section from this video. Once again, my name is Deborah from Lamudi Philippines, and joining me are two panelists today, Mr. Lee Chee Hoe and Mr. Henry Yap. Gentlemen, thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah.
Hongkong Land is one of Asia's leading property investment, management and development groups, with an esteemed reputation for creating premium quality office and retail buildings and upscale properties for residential and hospitality. Its vision centers upon the four land concepts of success, prosperity, inspiration and opportunity. The company was incorporated on the 2nd of March 1889. It created Central Hong Kong and is the single largest landlord with 12 interconnected Grade A buildings that span over 450,000 square meters of prime commercial space. A dynamic landscape that has become its land of success. Hongkong Land's portfolio in Central, one of Asia's leading central business districts, attracts the world's foremost companies and luxury brands. This is epitomized at Landmark, the leader of luxury urban living with a heritage for prestigious shopping, dining, and lifestyle experiences. This success in Hong Kong has spurred the company to expand its footprint in Asia through the land of prosperity. In Singapore, the company has developed premium Grade A commercial and residential spaces at Marina Bay Financial Centre, One Raffles Link, and CityLink Mall, and has built some of the city's luxurious residential properties. In Jakarta, the company owns a portfolio of prime offices and upscale residential buildings. In mainland China's key cities like Beijing, Shanghai, Chengdu, and Chongqing, the company is developing high-quality residential properties and is the name behind one of Macau's prestigious developments. The company's land of inspiration is brought to life through sustainability, by publicly displaying its valuable art collection, through innovative ideas and improvements, and iconic architectural designs. The land of opportunity is where Hongkong Land creates value and opportunities for its tenants and buyers through world-class quality management and services. Hongkong Land is embarking upon the future with upcoming plans that will transform the region's economic landscape. From its roots in Hong Kong, it owns a growing portfolio across Asia. This innovative vision as a premium quality developer, together with the traditions of partnership, integrity and excellence, will guide Hongkong Land as it continues developing for tomorrow and beyond.
Robinson's Land Corporation, one of the largest real estate developers in the Philippines and a subsidiary of the JG Summit Holdings Incorporated. Through the years, RLC has established a name in the real estate industry as it remains on top of the game in laying out the most well-designed and exceptional lifestyle spaces to the market. Its wide array of prime residential developments across the country has inspired many individuals to explore opportunities that provide a rewarding lifestyle experience. Being one of BCI Asia's top 10 property developers in the Philippines, RLC developments have been highly regarded by prestigious international and local property award-giving bodies. With close to 3 decades of experience in property development, RLC has made a legacy that is strongly associated with good value and high-quality developments that our employees, customers, business partners, and shareholders can be proud of. It has evolved into a property developer that continues to draw interesting blueprints of fresh concepts that go beyond the ordinary. Concepts that have the power to make lives anew. Concepts that create a sense of fulfillment to families, professionals, and young investors. In the years to come, RLC is envisioned to reach greater heights as it continues to expand its widespread portfolio of innovative developments that have made a big impact in the lives of Filipino families. We are RLC. Your dreams, our foundation.